Devin, how did you even get involved with arm wrestling? Like, what's your story? Like, how'd you fall into it?
Right. So, always loved arm wrestling, right from, really, really far back. Started with my grandmother when I was like probably around 5 or 6 years old. Did it all through school. Didn't really know it was a real thing. If wasn't really a real thing. It was something I loved to do. And then I went out west and worked oil field, met like a serious arm wrestler. I was like blown away. I was like, oh my God, you are doing what I want to do. Let me follow you. And, it's kind of a funny story, but basically he took me under his wing, and showed me that at that point, the underground culture of arm wrestling. That was back in like 94. It was like flyers, meet at this location in 2 weeks. There's going to be a tournament. Nobody knows about it. Yeah, totally cult stuff. But then I kind of got tied into that world shortly thereafter. The internet kind of picked up. It's all out there now. I mean, type in arm wrestling, everything you want to know.
Yeah, it's definitely like a growing sport. It's not as well known as the traditional, like baseball, basketball and stuff, but I've always been a fan of anything like strength related. Like, I'm into weightlifting. I trained MMA for some years, like mixed martial arts, and arm wrestling 100% interests me. Like, I think it's an awesome sport. To me, it's like so primal and like a basic form of competition. That's how I view it. It's awesome.
Like the most awesome handshake ever, right?
That's one for the quote wall.
So, Devin, so arm wrestling, to be successful in it, is it a pure strength thing, or is it strategy, or it is a mixture of both?
I say all the time that it's a miniature martial art. A lot of people have the mindset that arm wrestling is really a strength sport, which it is, the same way that fighting is a strength sport.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see too many weak fighters out there, the same way you don't see too many weak arm wrestlers. Some fighters are stronger with less technique. Some fighters have better technique and they're not so strong. So it's a fight game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do you think is more important, though? Technique and skill, or just being like super powerful?
Well, they're both great. Like, I mean, arm wrestling develop both sides, right? Like, if you can tell me that I can have more strength, I'm always trying to get stronger. It's a hard thing to do.
Can't hurt.
No. Oh, no. It's a great thing, right?
Yeah.
And that's got its own unique set of challenges that go along with it. And then the technical side, and that's why you have these old champions in arm wrestling, like me. No, even older than me. There's champions who are like 70 years. I'm talking world.
Wow.
Yeah. World top. Like a 25-year-old Russian cyborg is not beating this 70-year-old dude who looks like a garden gnome,
The super old man strength.
Now, do you think not to interrupt, but do you think that's a facet of the sport itself? Because in some circles, John Force, he's a drag racer professionally, but he's older and he's out of shape and he's one of those guys that still wins. But he even said, he goes, it's just a 4-second sport. Now, I'm not saying the same thing about arm wrestling, but do you think the reason you get 70-year-old champions still to this day beating the young guys is because of the way the sport is?
Well, I think that there's a lot of things that make arm wrestling special. And I think that everything that, when you focus on like a sport, I think that you learn lessons that are true and applicable to anything in life. And I think that when you never, ever stop chasing a goal and you don't have interruptions, like you don't get injured, you can go a long way, arm wrestling is very heavily focused on all of this, right? Mm-hmm. The hand and there's so much connective tissue in there, and that connective tissue takes so long to build. Like, it's not like muscle. Like, guys can get strong really quickly, but I find that these gnarly muscles in the forearm take a long time. But like your hand over the course of 15 years, 20 years, will thicken, you know?